Welcome back, kindness champions, to Storycraft's Kids. Today's tale explores a magical connection between what we say and what the world feels. Our adventure takes place high above the cheerful, bright town of Gleamwood, a place known for its golden sunshine and happy, bustling streets. Up in the blue sky lived a very special, very small, puffy white cloud named Nimbus. Nimbus wasn't like the other clouds, who could choose when to drizzle or when to sprinkle. Nimbus was an empathy cloud. His rain, his tears really, were completely uncontrollable and were triggered by human emotion. Specifically, Nimbus would cry whenever someone in Gleamwood was purposefully unkind, mean or hurtful to another. When the people of Gleamwood were polite and thoughtful, Nimbus was the fluffiest, sunniest cloud you could imagine, sometimes even glowing with happiness. But when meanness popped up, Nimbus would suddenly turn a dark, bruised grey, and his tears would fall. The people of Gleamwood didn't know about Nimbus's emotional link, so they just complained about the strange, sudden rain clouds. Another quick shower? What strange weather, they would grumble, rushing inside whenever Nimbus started to weep. In Gleamwood lived a boy named Emmett, who was one of the kindest kids in town, always looking out for others and quick to share a smile. Emmett was also observant. He started noticing that the unexpected bursts of rain always seemed to happen right after something unpleasant took place. The main source of these disruptive showers often involved another boy named Garth. Garth wasn't truly a bad kid, but he was impulsive and often spoke without thinking, usually making jokes that hurt other people's feelings. One sunny Monday, Garth was building an enormous sandcastle on the town common with his friend, Finn. Finn accidentally knocked over a small turret on Garth's castle, making a tiny mistake. Garth immediately yelled, "Finn! You're clumsy and you always ruin everything! Go away!" Finn's face fell instantly, his eyes filling with tears from the unexpected harshness of the words. Whoosh! High above, Nimbus instantly puffed out, turned a deep indigo, and began to cry. A torrent of cold, soft rain fell directly onto Garth and the sandcastle, soaking everything in seconds. Garth and Finn ran for cover, utterly confused by the sudden downpour that seemed localized just above them. Emmett, watching from a distance, saw the sequence perfectly. Garth's mean words, Finn's hurt face, Nimbus's tears, and the rain. "It can't be a coincidence," Emmett murmured, adjusting his wide-brimmed hat. "Nimbus is crying because someone was unkind." Emmett started a small, secret study. He kept a journal of unkind words and the corresponding rain. The data was crystal clear. Every mean comment, every sarcastic remark, every slight act of selfishness resulted in Nimbus turning grey and crying. The next day, Garth didn't want to share the swings on the playground, even though he wasn't using the second one. When a little girl asked politely if she could use the empty swing, Garth folded his arms and scoffed. "No way! I'm saving it for important people!" The little girl walked away sadly, and right on cue, a sudden misty shower appeared. It wasn't heavy rain this time, just enough to make the playground equipment slippery and messy. The other kids groaned, annoyed by the disruptive drizzle, but they didn't know the source of the weather. Emmett, however, knew. He watched Nimbus, who looked utterly miserable, his puffy cloud body trembling with sadness. He realized that Nimbus wasn't judging the meanness. He was simply feeling the genuine pain it caused. "We have to teach Garth that his words have weight, not just on people, but on the whole town," Emmett decided. He approached Garth carefully. "Hey, Garth, have you noticed how the weather is always weird right after you say something, loud?" Garth looked suspicious. "What are you talking about, Emmett? It's just random rain." "I don't think it is," Emmett insisted. "I think that cloud, Nimbus, is connected to our feelings." Garth laughed, a loud, dismissive sound. "A cloud that cries? That's the silliest thing I've ever heard." But Emmett was persistent. He challenged Garth to a small experiment. "For the next hour, only say things that are helpful or kind. Let's see what happens to the sky." Garth, competitive by nature, agreed, thinking he would prove Emmett wrong. For 50 minutes, Garth managed to keep his tongue in check. He even helped a younger student reach a ball. Nimbus was radiant. He was pure white, with golden edges, and the town was bathed in the most pleasant sunshine ever. Garth started to feel strange. Being nice actually felt easier than being mean. Then the inevitable happened. Garth was playing a board game with his sister, and he lost badly. In a flash of frustration, he shouted, "That game is stupid! It's rigged and you cheated!" His sister looked genuinely shocked, and her lower lip began to tremble, feeling the sharp sting of his accusation. Boom! This time, Nimbus didn't just cry. He let out a flash of gentle, yet startling violet lightning and a deafening roll of thunder. A torrential downpour erupted, turning the streets instantly slick and creating small, gushing rivers in the gutters. Everyone in Gleamwood was caught off guard, scrambling for shelter, convinced a sudden summer storm had hit. Garth stared up at the sky, his mouth hanging open. The rain was cold and heavy, washing away the good feeling he'd just had. He looked at his sister, who was crying real tears, and then at the furious bruised purple cloud above, shedding its own tears. Emmett was right, Garth whispered, the reality of the empathy magic finally hitting him hard. The town was now in an uproar. The mayor called an emergency meeting about the unpredictable and damaging weather patterns. People started blaming the sky, the air, and anything but their own behavior. Emmett spoke up at the meeting. The problem isn't the cloud. The cloud is just a mirror. He explained his observations about Nimbus, telling everyone that the rain was only a reaction to their words. Nimbus is simply crying when we cause pain, Emmett finished, looking directly at Garth, who was sitting silently in the back. The adults were skeptical at first, but Emmett showed his journal, matching specific mean actions to the exact time of the downpours. Slowly, the town started to connect the dots. They remembered the time Mrs. Higgins gossiped, and the sudden hailstones that followed. They recalled when Mr. Henderson was unkind to the delivery worker, and the brief, icy shower that soaked his freshly painted fence. The entire town realized they were responsible for the gloomy weather, not poor, sensitive Nimbus. Garth, feeling incredibly guilty, raised his hand slowly. I think I've been the cause of a lot of the rain, he admitted. This took a lot of bravery, and as he spoke, Nimbus, still dark, let out one single, warm ray of sunshine through his tears. Emmett smiled at Garth. It takes courage to admit that. Now we have to learn to choose kindness. The whole town agreed to start a kindness watch, promising to think twice before speaking. They decorated their houses with bright paper clouds, reminding themselves to keep Nimbus sunny. But changing a habit is hard, especially for someone like Garth, who was used to reacting quickly. Garth kept trying, but every so often, a hasty comment would slip out, and a small, apologetic sprinkle would fall. Emmett taught Garth a simple trick. Before speaking, take a deep breath and imagine the feeling the other person would receive. If you picture their face looking happy, you know you're choosing the right words, Emmett instructed. One sunny afternoon, a new challenge arose. A younger boy was struggling to learn a difficult move on his scooter. Garth watched the boy fall down over and over, getting frustrated and red-faced. Garth's first instinct was to say, "Wow, you're terrible at this. Just give up." His mouth opened, and he felt the familiar, hot, mean words rising up his throat. High above, Nimbus began to churn, sensing the impending emotional blow, turning a sickly, anxious green-gray. But Garth remembered Emmett's advice. He took a huge, steadying breath, picturing the boy's smile if he succeeded. He quickly changed his sentence. "Hey, you almost had it. Try bending your knees a little. That helps." The younger boy looked up, not hurt, but surprised and grateful. He tried the new move and landed it perfectly. The younger boy cheered, his face lighting up with genuine pride and happiness. At that exact moment, Nimbus, who had been about to burst into a storm, transformed instantly. He didn't just turn white. He turned a breathtaking iridescent gold, shimmering with joy. The entire town of Gleamwood was bathed in a warm, magical light that felt like a hug. Everyone cheered. They knew the magic had worked. Garth had chosen kindness over cruelty, and the whole world benefited. Garth felt a happiness that was far greater than winning a board game or being right. It was the joy of creating happiness. From that day on, Garth became a champion of kindness, always mindful of the weather, and, more importantly, mindful of hearts. Gleamwood became the kindest town in the region, their skies constantly sunny and glorious, reflecting their collective goodwill. Nimbus was the happiest cloud, floating high, occasionally letting out a tiny, happy, celebratory mist when someone performed an extraordinary act of kindness. The people learned that their words were not just sounds, but tiny, magical gifts they could choose to give or withhold. They understood that meanness doesn't just hurt the person who receives it, it makes the whole world feel sad. They never forgot the core lesson. Empathy is a powerful magic, and kindness keeps the sun shining for everyone. If you want the world to be bright, you have to be bright yourself. And that's the wonderful tale of Nimbus, the empathy cloud, and the town that learned the true meaning of consideration. Remember that your words have the power to change the atmosphere, both literally and figuratively. Always choose to create sunshine, not storms. We hope this story about the power of empathy encourages you to think before you speak, because sometimes the magic is hidden right in your own heart. If you love this story and the empathy magic, please click the like button. Share this tale with anyone who needs a little reminder to choose kindness today. And make sure to subscribe to Storycrafts Kids for more magical lessons.